Well, good afternoon. This is Raven Dana. It is Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, and welcome to the second session of How to Navigate Between the Worlds. Today we're going to talk about the imagination gate, the way that throughout history, imagination has been used as a bridge between one reality and another. So the way I want you to think about this is to recognize that we do nothing without imagining it first. We don't change direction. We don't alter the course of our lives. We don't start on a new project. We don't plant a garden without imagining what's happening first. So when we hear something, words to the effect of, it's just your imagination, I want you to get clearly, right now and forever, moving forward, that imagination is extraordinarily powerful, that every thought you think alters your chemistry. Like, really get that. Every thought you think, every emotion you have, every assessment you make changes you. Brain and body changes something in you. If you think about something frightening, you get frightened. Your chemistry shifts to accommodate that sense of fight or flight, right? If you remember a situation that was frightening, you're back in that inside your body, your chemistry remembers and it replays. So when we talk about using the imagination for walking between worlds, what we're actually talking about is assessing how we usually move between worlds. That's why we talked last week about the dreaming. It happens naturally without much thought on our parts. But we can be fully aware and awake and still utilize the imagination as a very potent tool to navigate from waking reality into the dreaming. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to fall asleep. It means like changing the channel. So think of it this way. There's AM and there's FM. Waking consciousness is AM. It has limited frequency. The dreaming or sleeping consciousness, and not just sleeping, but down deep in there, visioning and creative processing, that's FM, where multiple images are happening at once. The awake brain can't sort them that quickly, but the deep mind can. The deep mind speaks that language of symbols, images, and emotions. So I want you to understand that whatever you imagine actually is a tool for changing the channel, right? For shifting. If you've ever daydreamed, right? If you've been sitting doing something and you catch yourself no longer in the moment, you're in the midst of a daydream. You're thinking of something lovely and wonderful, or you're in the future imagining something working out, or you're in the future scaring yourself about something, right? You're there. You're in that other space. You are very effectively planted between worlds with one foot in the waking world and one foot in the dreaming. And again, I want to assert that when I say the dreaming, I don't mean you're just when you are asleep. The dreaming is the larger body of a consciousness out of which our waking awareness rises. So much of our decisions come from that deep part of our awareness. And when we imagine something vividly, we're calling it into place. All right? So if you've ever seen the movie Beetlejuice, there's a point where they draw a door with chalk and knock 3 times, and the door opens, and they're in the realm of the afterlife. They're in the deeper realm of the afterlife. So we're talking about a process more like that, where we create a door, or we use the image of a door or a portal or a gate or a path that helps us to shift the frequency, the vibration, the awareness, shift our conscious mind into a place that allows us passage into the between worlds, into the realm of daydreaming, imagining, calling things into being. That creative space, if you do any kind of arts and crafts, you've been in that zone, in that space where even though you're alert and aware, you're also in touch with this deep place of creative potential where things, excuse me, where ideas and images are moving through you. I write music and I sing and I play the guitar, and I can tell you that I've had times where suddenly there's a song there. It's not like I'm sitting writing it. I can hear it. It's there. And if I don't pick up my guitar and capture it, if I don't write the lyrics down, they've moved on and they're gone. So that's one expression of how what we call perhaps the muse operates. So it doesn't just work for arts and crafts and music, it also works for opening gates to the between worlds. This is the process that shamans use. This is the process that healers use when they work on somebody, to use the imagination as a bridge with tried and true images that have been used perhaps for thousands of years, that have in their own right their own weight, I'll say it that way, their own reality, because those images have been used by so many people through so much history that the images are actually realities in the dreaming. They are actual structures in the between. So there are doors and gates and paths that you may find that are not ones that you've imagined, but you may be in your daydreaming awareness or asleep in your nighttime awareness, and you may see a dream gate or a path or a door, and it may be one that you don't recognize, but that has been established or used by many people through many trial and errors through many years for accessing information or gaining entrance into another realm of existence. With that in mind, it is common, whether you're imagining or whether you're asleep, to approach a portal or a gate or a door and have to have a key or a secret word or some kind of access, or to pay the gatekeeper if there's a gatekeeper. So just have that in the back of your mind, that if you're having an experience and you're in an imagining and you're trying to get through a gate into another space, that you might also imagine up a few coins in your pocket, or you might also imagine up what the word might be, what the secret word might be, or it might come to you suddenly. So just be aware that there is actually, I don't know, there's a certain kind of respect that gets paid to navigating the realms between the worlds. So imagination is very, very powerful. I mean, look, in our ordinary medical science, we know that about 1/3, that's 1 out of 3, about 30% of results when a placebo is used is due to what's called the placebo effect. In other words, somebody believing they're taking a medication with X results will give them those results. Why aren't we studying that? The mind is that powerful that 1 out of 3 people can so vividly believe that sugar pill is medicine, that their bodies will produce the desired response, will produce the healing, will produce the change in chemistry. This is tremendously powerful. So again, if you catch yourself saying, oh, I'm just imagining that, no, you're not. You're creating through your imagination an experience, or you're entering a realm, or you're generating something to take a look at, even if it's fearful. When you say, oh, I imagined that and I scared myself, well, what does that have to teach you? What is that telling you? So I'm going to give you a little saying, and it's something that you can use anytime you're practicing going between the worlds, or anytime you're falling asleep. If you're concerned about having a bad dream or having a scary experience, this is what you want to use. It's very, very simple. So you can say it out loud. May my gates and paths and doors be open, and my gates and paths and doors between the worlds, and may they be closed to any who would harm me or those I love. May my doors and gates and paths be open, and my doors and gates and paths between the worlds, and may they be closed to any who would harm me or those I love. I'll say it again. May my doors and gates and paths be open, and my doors and gates and paths between the worlds, and may they be closed to any who would harm me or those I love. It's a very simple, straightforward declaration. And that declaration also calls upon energies, guides, guardians, whatever you want to call them, in the imaginal realms, in the between, in the dreaming. You may notice that you have an affinity for certain kinds of animals or certain kinds of symbols. So allow yourself just to know that whether you are aware, definitively aware of that or not, that you do have, we're going to call them allies and helpers. You have realms. There are realms in which other beings that you associate with when you're outside of regular waking consciousness participate in your dreaming life, in your other lives in the between. So you can rest assured that when you say those words, when you're asking for your gates and doors and paths to be open and closed to any who would harm you or those you love, that you are actually setting up the conditions for that to occur. It's a good thing. It's what we need to do, right? So imagination produces concrete, measurable results. We can measure the way our chemistry changes when we're having experiences. We can measure how we feel. We can note how we feel when we think of something and we clench, or we think of something else and we relax. So you could try that right now. It's very, very simple. I want you to just remember the last time you were angry. Just call that up. Remember the last time you were really angry. Breathe yourself right back into that spot. Now notice the sensations in your body. You may notice things like a clenched jaw. You might notice that your hands clench. You might notice that your lips are compressed. You might notice that your eyes get squinty. You might notice that your breathing gets shallow and high in the chest. Those are all the physical symptoms that we associate. There's many more, but those are common physical symptoms that we experience when we're angry. Okay, breathe that away, let that go. And now I'd like you to remember or imagine the most beautiful place you've ever been, a place where you feel so at ease and calm and happy and surrounded by beauty. Bring yourself into that space. Either remember it or imagine it. And now notice the sensations in your body. You may notice that you're smiling. You may notice that your breathing is low in your body. You may notice that your shoulders have relaxed and dropped away from your ears. You may notice that your jaw is not clenched, but it's soft. You may notice that your belly is soft. So these are all actual physiological changes. That means your chemistry has changed. It means your nervous system has changed. And it's all about imagination. So imagining is very potent and very, very powerful. Another thing that imagination helps us do is it helps us to bypass our filters. In other words, the things that we hold in place that keep us from seeing certain things. So when we've been taught, again, that's just your imagination, that's just a dream, when we've been taught those kinds of things, then we also tend to miss the clues, the signs and signals in our ordinary reality, our waking reality, that are rising from the deep. So giving yourself that imaginal boost, that open doorway, that place of contact and connection with the worlds between the worlds and the worlds behind the waking world, also gives you greater conscious access to the realities that we generally ignore even when we could see them and notice them. So it gives you this added bonus of being able to bypass your filters by opening your awareness through imagination. So how to start? Draw a door. Build a series of images. There are lots of ways to use imagination to move into other places of reality. And liminal spaces, crossroads, shorelines, doorways, gates, paths through the woods, fog, sunrise, sunset, twilight, the path of sunlight on water, the path of moonlight on water, that glittering road of light in the darkness. These are all wonderful doorways, gateways, and pathways that will take you to realms other than your ordinary waking reality. And can you call up where to be? Well, you can. You can ask for access to a pathway, for example, to the land of the dead to visit somebody who's passed. You can ask for access, a door or a gate that takes you to your ancestral worlds to meet your ancestors, quite literally, and perhaps even bring back information that is then verifiable, that you can then check out. You can seek out a gate. If you come from a Celtic background, you might have had ancestors who talked a lot about the shining ones or the little people, the gnomes and elves and fairies, that again, we have in our culture, we've turned them into some kind of Disneyland version of what they really are, really were, really are. We, we've made them cute and fluttery, but in our ancestors' time, in the realm of experience, they were far from that. The shining ones are potent, powerful beings, forces of nature, forces of reality that live between this world and the next, this world and the dreaming. And there are definitely places on the planet where they can be experienced and met and known and communicated with. And, sometimes also the little ones, the little people, have been associated with what in today's world we call the visitors or the gray aliens. It's very interesting how many commonalities there are between stories of the fairies and stories of the visitors. So just putting that out there, it's another place to consider. So what I would recommend that you do, and in fact, here's another way to play. If you had an imaginary place you went to as a child, if you imagined a castle, or you imagined a city, or you imagined this beautiful scene by running water, if you had an imaginary place as a child, I guarantee you that place is there somewhere. So you can start very simply in that way by imagining a path or door or gateway that takes you to your special place in the past. You can also go into an actual memory. You can enter a memory the same way by creating a door, say the back door to your house that opened up into the yard or the garden, or opened up into a yard that led back into the woods. And maybe there was a place back there that you liked to be, that you felt safe and secure, that was magical and just precious to you. You can see that door, you can call up that door and walk through it and find yourself in the past in that place. So there are plenty of ways to play with this. And I recommend that you also play on your own, but that you also play with a friend. It's really fascinating to call a friend and say, okay, let's explore this, or let's explore the surface of the moon, whatever you want to do. Let's go together and let me take you to that place I used to go as a child, all right? And to actually do some imagery, do some imagining, where you go together and then you have a period of silence where you experience your own experience. And then you come back, you either on your own or with this timer, you can use a little bell or some kind of chime on your phone. And then when you return and breathe yourself back into the moment, you can share the experience with each other. And I'm telling you, having done that quite a bit with other people, it's amazing how many things turn up that are completely the same. Seeing the same images, or seeing a certain animal on the path, or seeing a certain cloud formation, and having both people witness that in their own imaginal realm gives you the understanding that the imaginal is not, the imaginal realm is real. It's not that it's just, quote unquote, just in your head. You're actually gaining access to a different plane of existence. So please play with your friends. There's another game you can play with this. You can create a door or a gate or a path that takes you to tomorrow. And in the morning, you can, or in the evening rather, you can access that path and write down the first 3 things you see. And then tomorrow, at the end of the day, look at what you wrote and see if those things turned up in your day. It's another really fascinating way to get a hint of how much we do have an awareness of what's coming in the future. And again, these might not be anything like earth-shattering events. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, if you have an image of a black dog jumping up on you and you're at the park and a black dog jumps up on you, it's an unusual event, doesn't happen every day, but it happened in your imagining, and then it happened during the day. Or you look down and you find a quarter. If you see an image of a quarter and then there it is in your day, you look down and find a quarter. So again, we're not looking for these big world events, even though you might get one of those. But what we're looking for is foreshadowing, your ability to recognize that you can move your awareness into the past or into the future and have real experiences there. The better you get at that, or the more comfortable you get at that, then the braver you'll be at exploring some of the other realms of dreaming, of going into maybe dreams from your past, or going into experiences where you want to go in there and change the outcome, or going into the future and looking at a house that you want to build or a job that you want to have. Actually looking at the pathway between here and there. It's fascinating when you start to play in the between. You can also go in the between and meet beings that don't live in this plane of reality. They live there and have experiences there and have a whole bigger, deeper understanding of reality by being in experiences with these other beings. Clearly, you're not going to communicate in the same way. You will be communicating in a whole new, different realm of understanding. And sometimes you can't even quite bring it back into, it's like sometimes when you have a dream and it makes perfect sense, but it's hard to translate when you get back, that's okay. If you have experiences like that, just be with them, just sit in that and revel in that understanding. Even if you can't put all of it into words, it's perfectly fine, and it will extend your understanding and awareness of your everyday life. It will bring wonder and joy and a numinous quality and a greater sense of connection into your everyday life. So again, there are plenty of places that you can play with this. You can also enter your body. If you're sick, or if you want to check something out, you can imagine yourself small, go through a gateway, maybe open up a door to your heart, or however you want to do it, breathe yourself in to yourself and travel into your body to the place in question and see what images are there, see what's happening there. Bring that information back and write it down. I can tell you, I've had things happen in dreams, and I have brought the dreams. I mean, my doctor knows me well enough to know that if I say, listen, would you test this? I had this dream, and she's going to say, sure. Now, she's an ordinary doctor, so I'm saying that there are physicians who are tuned in to how the deep mind, how the body communicates with us when we're asleep. And what I'm saying is if you get good at it, you can do it while you're awake. And the imagination gate is the way to do that, to develop access so that you can enter your body, gain information. Now, the caveat I'm going to give you is don't analyze the information. Don't let your mind get in the way. Bring back the images and the emotions in as clean a way as you can, because your mind will try to make it mean something. Whereas if you just bring it back, you might look at it and have an awareness. Oh, I think it's about this. Or, oh, maybe I ought to look at that. Or, oh, there's inflammation in there. I'm seeing this area filled with heat and it's red. Huh. Well, that's interesting. So what I'm saying is, I don't want you to try to figure it out. I want you to feel your way through. And that's how the imaginal realm works. Again, images, symbols, emotions. Um, that's the forte. That's what you want to bring back with you. Okay, plenty of information in there. 2 books that you might want to play with. Both by, there are lots of books by lots of people. The Body Hears Every Word We Say is a book. It's not a new book. It's a very good book, though. If you want books particular to the imaginal realm, there's again 2 books by Robert Moss. One is called The 3 Only Things. It's a short book, and it just really validates and documents the reality of the imaginal realms. And the other book, I have to see if I have it written down. Excuse me. I'm turning a page here on my notebook. All right, Growing Big Dreams. That's the other book. And it is a book that he, it's a recent book. He wrote it not that long ago. So take a look at that, because, again, the primary thing to think about when we're imagining the doors and gates that we're passing through is to get a feel that this particular 3-dimensional world in which we are at least half conscious most of the time, right, is operating at a particular frequency, a particular vibrational code, much like a radio station. So if we're going to travel between the worlds, how we do that is by altering our space within us, by altering our nervous system and altering the rate with which we're doing life, right? The way you do that is through imagination and seeing those gates and doors and feeling yourself relax and shift, because then you're aligning yourself with the frequency or the radio station, however you want to call it. You are then aligning yourself with the way to make passage through that gate into the next realm and stay conscious, stay aware. And we can, and we do. It's what mediums do. It's what healers do. It's what shamans do. It's what mystics do. It's what we do every night when we're dreaming. So you can do it while you're fully awake. All right. If you have any questions, if you have any experiences, please reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about this more. So here are your practices for this week with the imaginal realm. Take your morning imaginal practice. So you're going to enter your door or gate in the morning or the night before. You can also do it the night before. But you're going to look in on your day. You're going to look in on the future. You're going to look and just see what images pop up, what thoughts pop up, what emotions pop up. Whatever 3 things come to your mind, and it doesn't matter what they are. So please don't try to make sense of it. You won't. One day I saw this umbrella. It was a red umbrella, and it just kept opening in my face. I'm like, what the hell is this? But all right, I wrote it down. I completely forgot about it. And towards the end of the day, and it was a bright sunny day, by the way. Towards the end of the day, it clouded up, and I was walking down the street, somebody was getting off a bus and popped open a red umbrella and just about took my head off. And I was like, oh, there's that red umbrella, right? So again, don't try to make sense of it. Just go with whatever that is. So you can do that practice in the evening for the next day, or you can do it first thing in the morning. Either way, that works for you. All right, and here's another practice, to go through the door and just see what's there. Find a picture, an image of, it can be a door, it can be a gate, it can be a path, it can be a sunset, it can be the fog, it can be a boat. Doesn't matter, as long as it works for you. Pick an image and allow yourself to move into that image, into whatever realm is there, and see what's there. And when you come back, when you breathe your way back, take some notes. And you don't have to close your eyes to do this. At first it helps. It helps to isolate your what's happening in the imaginal. But you can get really good at it to where you can check in with something while you're doing something else. But at first, go ahead and close your eyes, use the image, and this is one where you can definitely play with a friend, right? You can play with a friend. You can choose to go through a gate or a door and see where it takes you. You can pick a location, like I said earlier, and go together and see what happens. And then the third way to play with this is dream reentry. So what you do with that is you pick a dream that you remember pretty well, that maybe you had some questions about, or maybe you're like, what? Who was that person in my dream, or why were they there, or what was behind that door? So again, using your imagination, you go back, you re-enter that dream while fully awake, and you explore that. You go through that door. You go ask that person why they're there. You go look inside that package and see what was in it. You do those things. And again, don't overthink it. Don't start saying to yourself, well, I'm just making that up. Like, just see what's there. See the first thing that you get, come back and write it down. Places to play. And of course, if you get a little bit braver, please feel free to go have a meeting with somebody that's deceased. Go have a conversation with an ancestor. Go into the realm between the worlds and contact the beings who are your allies, who are your protectors. Go into a gate, go through a gate or down a path and find your animal totem, your animal power or energy that is uniquely connected to you, and there will be more than one. So you can do those things as well. And the more you play, the more you do this with a spirit of ease and playfulness, the more depth the experience is going to have. Robert Moss says, the stronger the imagination, the less imaginary the results, right? The stronger the imagination, the less imaginary the results. This is the foundation of everything that we do. The more we repeat a thing, the more we imagine a thing, the more solidity it gains, the more traction it has, the more of an imprint it has. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts about the imaginal gateway, the gateway into all the places that you've ever wanted to go. And we will have some imagery now, and we'll go through a door and see where we go. All right. So get comfortable and find a place where you're relaxed with your back supported, where you can stay still for about 12 to 15 minutes. And bring your attention to your breath. And as you breathe, allow your body to relax. Float on the sensations of breathing. Feel the way your body rises up on the inhale and drifts down on the exhale. Relax. Allow your eyes to close. And as you breathe, just feel your body let go. Your jaw relax. Your shoulders release. Your belly softens. And you hear the words, "May all my doors and gates and paths be open, and all my doors and gates and paths between the worlds. And may they be closed to any who would harm me or those I love." And as your body relaxes even more, and your mind becomes still. Images rise around you, and you find yourself standing in front of a large arched doorway. It's very tall, and you examine it closely. Notice what it is for you. Is it a solid door? Is it a gate? What does the handle look like? How tall is it? And as you're standing there, the door begins to open inward. And a figure is standing there, clearly the gatekeeper. And you look closely at what that gatekeeper looks like. And then the gatekeeper offers its hand palm up, and you reach into your pocket and find what's there. And whatever item is in your pocket, you drop it in the gatekeeper's palm, and they smile and step back and allow you to enter. And at first you're walking through a garden, and you see many paths before you. But there's one path. It's a brick path, and it stands out from all the others. And you begin walking down that path, and it takes you to a gate. And you push the gate open and enter. And you find yourself in a magical place. There's a lake. There's a castle. There are clouds floating in a deep blue sky. And you realize that you've entered the realm of fairy tales. That any fairy tale you've ever heard, you can find here. And you let yourself wander. You let yourself be called to different places, to your favorite places, to things that you remember from childhood, or even adult fairy tales that call to you. And within this landscape, you find yourself walking up towards a tree. It's a massive tree. And there's a door in the tree. And as you walk closer, someone knocks on the other side of that door. And you open it. But you don't see anyone there. So you step inside and find yourself drifting slowly down, floating, not falling, into a cavernous space among the roots of this tree. The space is well lit, though. It's comfortable and pleasantly warm. And right before you is an animal. And you're thrilled. And the animal looks at you, and you get such a sense of connection, as if this animal has been with you your entire life. And you just look at each other. And you become aware in that moment of how and why that connection is present, of how this animal is part of your awareness. And then to the left you see a movement, and there's another. So the two of them now look at you and look at each other. Maybe you're surprised by who and what is there. Maybe it's a comfortable, familiar reminder from something that you knew long ago. But you feel in this moment as if you have found two new friends, allies, protectors, guides. And you know that anytime you wish, you can call them to you, and they'll walk through the realms with you so that you're never alone. And you sit down, getting comfortable, leaning back into the roots of the tree, and the two come close to you. And they settle down, one on one side of you and one on the other, close enough that you can reach out and put a hand on each one. You can feel them. You can smell them. You can hear the sounds they make. And in this deep place, you close your eyes and you begin slowly rising up through the trunk of the tree, feeling yourself lift and move up through the roots and into the trunk. You find yourself standing in the woods again, with your two animals beside you. And you walk down the path toward the gate. And one of the animals tugs you in a different direction. And without hesitation, you go that way, and the other animal comes along. And there's a pool of water, and that animal encourages you to enter it. And you realize suddenly it's a shortcut. And so you wade into that pool and let yourself float on your back in the delightful warm water. And you breathe. And as you breathe, you find yourself moving back through gates and doors, breathing your way back until you're standing again outside that big door. And it's still open. The gatekeeper's still standing there, nods to you. And you step back through and sit comfortably in your own body, in the room in which you rest, bringing your attention completely back to the sensations in your body, to your breath, and to the moment. Bringing back all the images and energy, you return fully, allowing access always to your guides and guardians. You allow your eyes to open. All right. Thank you for being with me today. And I shall see you next week for the third session of How to Move Between the Worlds. We will be talking about meditation and other altered states, ways to alter your state that are a little bit different from imagery. But this is a great, I love this week and I love this place to play. And I use this very often. As a child, I did a lot of imagery because it was my way to get out of where I was and into other places. And I had lots of interesting experiences that I, even later in adulthood, was able to validate as being real and true. So I'm going to encourage you to play in this area. Again, to go into this with the, not this kind of rigid determination, I'm going to do this, but with this sense of openness and play and invitation, and invite others to play with you and see what happens. And if you need to find me, you know where. You can leave me a message. You can email me. You can find me at my website, ravendana.com. It's a no-brainer. You can't, if you know my name, you can find me. Have a lovely week, and I'll see you in the between. Good afternoon.